Caribbean state of Trinidad and Tobago is most famous for its spectacular annual carnival. But now it's getting a more disturbing reputation as the nation with the highest recruitment rates of ISIL fighters in the Western Hemisphere. So why have so many young Trinidadians travelled to join the conflicts in Iraq and Syria? Juliana Rufus has been to investigate.
I just made ghusl in the Euphrates in -1 degrees.
Shane Crawford has just washed to prepare for prayer in Syria. The year is 2013, and Crawford is believed to be the first Islamic State recruit from the Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, everybody put one bullet in the chamber. Bismillah.
And this is Crawford's best friend, Farid Mustafa, seen here training snipers in a recruitment video made by Islamic State, or ISIL. According to government estimates, 130 Trinidadians, including women and children, have since joined Crawford and Mustafa in the Middle East. This makes Trinidad the highest per capita contributor to ISIL in the Western Hemisphere. And some experts think up to 400 people may have gone.
I cannot sit and watch my children grow up in this land which they cannot practice their Islam 100%. Now we are in the Islamic State. There is everything we need.
But these happy images of schools ISIL says it runs are only one side of the story. More recently, the self-proclaimed Caliphate has been under siege, and many Trinidadian recruits have been killed in battle. It is this edition of the ISIL magazine Dabiq that really made international headlines. In an appeal to Muslims in his home country, Shane Crawford called on them to take the fight back to Trinidad and to terrify the disbelievers in their own homes and to make the streets run with their blood. The question is, why do so many Trinidadians take up arms for ISIL in the first place? Trinidad is best known for its world-famous carnival and may seem an odd place to be exporting fighters to ISIL, but there is a long-established Muslim community of both African and Indian descent. They make up only 6% of the population, but over the last decades the voice of black Muslims has become louder, mainly because of this man.
The life of every Muslim as a sacred trust.
Imam Yassin Abu Bakr leads a movement called the Jamaat al-Muslimin, the community of Muslims. It was founded in the 1980s to empower Afro-Trinidadians who were converting to Islam. In the early days, the Jamaat al-Muslimin came to public notice because on the streets its enforcers were tackling the country's growing drugs trade. Their militant image was new to Muslims here. Do you always have private security with you?
I have no private security. These are just my people who are here with me all the time. No, I go anywhere, anyhow. I run this town here. I think that what I have is more powerful than a gun. I have a heart that has full of love for people, and that's my protection.
But Abu Bakr led the only armed Islamic uprising against the Western government. On 27th of July, 1990, he and his men stormed Parliament and held its MPs at gunpoint.
At 6 p.m. this afternoon, the government of Trinidad and Tobago was overthrown. The Prime Minister and members of the cabinet are under arrest.
The Jamaat al-Muslimin wanted to topple a government they said was criminal and corrupt, but the population failed to support them. After 6 days of chaos, in which 24 people lost their lives, Abu Bakr accepted an offer of amnesty and surrendered. He claims when the Jamaat al-Muslimin stopped policing the streets after the coup, the government lost control, and the power of the drug gangs erupted into a spiral of violence.
pre-1990, anybody could tell you Trinidad was under control. The murder rate would not reach 100. The murder rate now is 450. They go to almost 500. And this is predominantly among the African people. The same old slave population that nobody ever did anything to help, you know.
Abu Bakr says the root cause that has been left untreated remains poverty. The Jamaat runs food and school programs for the community.
The Africans are going to go in a pool of unemployment, nothing. They just sit in the ghetto and do nothing, and then the drugs come in, you know, and it's a haven for the drugs. And now the guns are in, so the murder rates is just spiraling out of control.
Do you think there is a connection between that and the fact that members of the Afro-Trinidadian community have gone to fight in Syria?
It's because of their marginalization and the difficulties with them to succeed because they're African Muslims.
Little is known about how fighters in Trinidad are actually recruited. And to find out more, we have set off to follow the stories of Shane Crawford and Farid Mustafa. With Carnival taking over the streets, some Muslims opt for family-friendly retreats.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Like this one, set up in a car park.
Are we ready for a camp? No.
Here, a man who knew both Crawford and Mustafa has agreed to meet us. Businessman Ashmid Mohammed has brought his whole family along. He instantly recognizes Crawford's photo.
I know this brother. He was in jail with me. Me and this brother here, Farid, we was in the same cell. They had three of us in a cell.
So then you know them intimately. I mean, can you describe them more? What sort of characters they were?
They have good character.
In 2011, Ashmid, Crawford, Mustafa and others were arrested for conspiring to assassinate the Prime Minister, but all were soon released due to lack of evidence. Some people believe that the government of the time used the alleged plot as a pretext to arrest people who were being tracked for other reasons. Why do you think your name appeared on this list of people accused of wanting to kill the Prime Minister?
That is $1 million question. It's because every so often I would go to visit a place in Rio Claro called Boo's Settlement, and there's a Jamaat over there led by Imam Nazim. And that Jamaat has been labeled as, on the watchdog list.
Quite a few of the people who went to Syria are known to have been part of the Jamaat or community of Boo's Mosque in the town of Rio Claro. Farid Mustafa lived there for a while. Others, like Shane Crawford, just passed through.
I see new people just appearing in our Jamaat. People I know doesn't belong to Rio Claro. They would come there, they would stay there for about a week or two, and then they disappear. And the people in the Jamaat themselves don't even know they're leaving, because if you go into Syria to fight war with ISIS, of course you would want to go silent. You wouldn't want to tell your shadow, because you don't want to be caught.
Ashmid says someone tried to recruit him too.
I remember clearly one night a brother telling me that he is considering going to Syria and I should also go. He said, go courageously into jihad and die with some bullets on your chest, on your head, in the cause of Allah. If you die in that position, it's the most honorable death you can get, according to Islamic teachings. This is why you see so many people just rush into Syria, not investigating carefully who are these groups. I said, no, I don't think I need to go to Syria to go to heaven.
Yet others came very close to leaving. Farid Mustafa's former housemate at Boo's Mosque has publicly stated that he considered joining ISIL.
Umar Abdullah. Okay, nice to meet you.
Umar Abdullah and others broke away from the Jamaat al-Muslimin after the 1990 coup to pursue a more radical path.
We felt that Abu Bakr should not have surrendered. We were prepared to go down and fight. We were prepared to establish an Islamic government here in this country and establish an Islamic state.
Abdullah freely admits he's planned various terrorist attacks within Trinidad, none of which came to fruition. He says he's a changed man now pursuing an Islamic State by peaceful means. He's agreed to take us to Boo's Mosque in Rio Claro, where carnival is in full swing.
Carnival now, it's changed a lot since you were young.
Yeah, a whole lot. It has gotten more vulgar, it has gotten more violent, more immoral.
Boo's Mosque lies just outside town. Its Imam, Nazim Mohammed, very rarely talks to the media. But thanks to Umar Abdullah, he has agreed to speak to us.
Hello, Imam. I'm Juliana. Nice to meet you.
The Imam and his family have given out land for free to create a self-sufficient community based on Islamic principles.
This is Jamaat's land, and we got it into lots and give brothers to build houses. So this is their own houses.
And altogether, how big is your Jamaat, your group?
About 25 homes or so.
25 homes?
Homes, yeah.
That's quite substantial.
Umar Abdullah and Farid Mustafa used to live in one of these houses until Mustafa fell out with the Imam.
Because you asked him to leave the mosque?
Yeah.
Why was that?
He was disobedient and so on and so forth. And part of it is that you have to obey.
One of the things that has been reported is that it involved the matter of a killing, that he was unhappy, him and Shane Crawford were not happy with something that happened in the community.
Yeah, but I don't want to go into detail of these things, I mean, because it won't be fair to him and fair to me.
There are reports that Crawford and Mustafa carried out a double murder before traveling to Syria. This mosque has long been on the radar of intelligence agencies like the FBI, who came to question Imam Nazim.
I'm not a campaigner for ISIS and so on and so forth. But I own truth. And what I'm concerned about, American policies and these so-called superpower policies. Sister, the world will be better off without these people.
If somebody came to you, a young Trinidadian, and said, I'm not sure if I should go and go to the Caliphate and join ISIL and fight, would you encourage them or would you try and hold them back?
My daughter gone there. I never knew that. I never knew that until a week after she rang and told me she in so-and-so place. You may not believe that. I never knew that.
Why do you think she left?
I would know. If I'm encouraging, then would not my daughter tell me, look, we go in so-and-so place? I never, my next daughter gone, I never knew that.
By now, at least 13 members of Nazim Mohammed's family have set off for Syria. Children, their spouses, and grandchildren. After leaving the mosque, Umar Abdullah takes us to the house he shared with Farid Mustafa when they first came to Rio Claro.
We pretty much enjoyed each other's company.
Did you speak to him after he left to Syria? Were you in touch with him when he was there?
We did share some words via one of the social networks.
What did he say?
He was encouraging me to come.
And what was Farid like?
That's exactly who Farid was. What you're seeing there, always would make a joke every now and again, would laugh, we would, things like that.
So this killing that Shane and Farid carried out, what light does that throw on him? Because that's not the happy-go-lucky person that we see in the pictures.
No, that's not the person I used to live with. What I can say is that Farid had developed a type of eagerness to fight for justice, truth and justice, to seek out ways and means on how he can, defend his brothers and sisters.
By 2013, Mustafa and Crawford had already planned their trip to join ISIL, but delayed it to avenge the death of a brother from Boo's Mosque. He had been shot while trying to buy a gun. While driving around the city of Chaguanas, they found their targets.
And this is the corner where Farid Mustafa and Shane Crawford carried out their killing. It's a spot well known for trouble. They jumped out of their car in broad daylight and shot dead their two victims.
Within weeks, both were in Syria. There is a fear that ISIL recruitment has been feeding off Trinidad's gang wars. Some of the feuding gangs draw on their Muslim identity and are closely associated with mosques. To find out more, we head to Enterprise, on the outskirts of Chaguanas, where Shane Crawford grew up. Violence surged in Enterprise in July 2016 after the murder of Selwyn Alexis, also known as Robocop. 2 others also died at the scene, including the killer. Although Alexis was never convicted of any crimes, he was widely regarded to be the godfather of a Muslim gang that dominated parts of Enterprise. His murder marked the arrival of a new group made up of former associates who felt they weren't seeing enough of the prophets. They became known as Unruly ISIS.
We are the 4 corner of death.
It's Friday and Unruly ISIS have agreed for us to join them for prayers. The group is accused of a series of killings, but the sermon is one of peace.
We want the people to feel safe around the Muslims. We want the people to love the Muslims. This is what Islam is about.
Standing in as imam in this makeshift mosque is Avinash Seepasand, aka Abdul Wakil, and generally known as Crisis.
They're watching we like we is criminals. They're watching we like we is terrorists. They're calling we all kind of names, my brothers.
Asked about the murder of Selwyn Alexis, Crisis is astoundingly frank.
My friend killed him. I'm being real with you. My friend killed him and he died. Not the reason why he killed him. People might say, oh, hear what the news would say about this guy, right? They would say he was a well-known businessman. That's what the news said about him. You know what I'm saying? But we over here in Enterprise, we know that he was a kidnapper. He killed many people. You know what I'm saying?
Crisis says he wants his crew to be known simply as Muslims, claiming the name Unruly ISIS was given to them by the media. He thinks anyone going to join ISIL is misguided, saying it's wrong for Muslims to kill Muslims. So how then does he justify the same thing in Enterprise?
You gotta understand something. People call it as killing, but in reality, we watch it as we defending ourselves. So it's like, you know somebody coming to kill you, so it's like, bam, you go get him first. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on. And
that's okay with Allah?
No, it's not okay. It's okay to defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? But it's not okay to kill an innocent person. It's never okay to kill an innocent person. It's not that we gonna come out one day and say, well, okay, give me that gun, I'm going to kill this guy. No, it's not that. That's what they make it seem like it is. It's our back against the walls. It got everything to do with these people who bringing in the drugs into our country. If they would stop the drugs and the guns, I swear we'll have no killing, no crime in Trinidad.
We want to hear what the other side has to say, and our next meeting is literally just across the road. Imam Moreland Lynch is an old associate of Selwyn Alexis who's been told he's on Unruly ISIS's hit list.
Can I ask you something? Because we're sort of still trying to get a handle on territory, and it seems that this is very, very close to the gang called Unruly ISIS.
Yeah. They live behind you.
Imam Lynch says he's a target because Unruly ISIS want to use his mosque as a base.
They try to get me out so they'll control and do their drugs business, drugs trade, so this is it. But I'm not moving and I'm not running.
Some of the men who started Unruly ISIS came from this mosque. Imam Lynch says he expelled them for trying to claim part of the drugs trade in the area.
If these people are gangsters, if they belong to gangs, why is it so important to them to attach themselves to a mosque?
Somebody tell them if they go to mosque on a Friday, all their sins will wash away. And they did not explain to them it's only a minor sin will wash away. So they lime hole, they drink, smoke, whatever, and then on a Friday they go to mosque. And the rest of the week they just do their mischief.
But Imam Lynch's mosque too has been raided by the police who were looking for weapons and drugs. He insists nothing was ever found. The Imam then takes us to see where his friend Selwyn Alexis was killed.
He get killed right with his cars here. In front of this red car, he get killed.
Moreland Lynch was one of several imams close to Alexis.
Are the imams ever worried about being associated with gangsters?
Most of them does not care if they are affiliated with gangster or whatever, they does not care. Once they get a cut or the spoil, they're good with that, right? The Muslim who doing the crime, and then some of them benefiting from it.
But that would then make it very easy for outsiders to come in, people who preach a clean Islam, an Islam that plays by the rule and that doesn't justify gangsterism. Is that then the appeal of the people who are luring young Trinidadians to fight in Syria or Iraq?
Yeah. Some will accept them very quickly because as how they live in a Muslim country in the Middle East, they'll believe that they speak in the truth.
It is easy to see why some Muslims in Trinidad have become disillusioned with their religious leaders. But others are less sympathetic, saying ISIL are attracting recruits because they're paying them.
These individuals who have left are men of straw. They actually left, most of them were just gang members making a couple hundred TT dollars. They saw this as an opportunity to make $1,000 US a month. So it is more of these individuals becoming mercenaries rather than a radical religious belief.
Whatever the motivation may be, from a national security point of view, the real danger is less the conflict in the Middle East than an attack on home soil. Much of Trinidad's income comes from huge oil and gas reserves. One explosion at an oil well could cripple the economy. And fears of such an attack are not unjustified. In 2015, a Trinidadian journalist unearthed this video of a suspected radical training children with guns.
This fella run back, you don't walk back, it's the Mujahid.
Experts think it was shot in the south of the country and that the storage tanks of an oil refinery can be seen in the background. In response, the government has drawn up a new anti-terror bill which broadens the definition of terrorist activities. The goal is to crack down not just on fighters, but on anyone providing training or support. And for Gary Griffiths, the only response is to be tough, to make sure that those who leave will never return.
If it is that you are going on that road, we need to crush you. We need to prevent you from going. And if it is you do go, we need to put everything possible to make sure you do not ever get back. So the deterrent will be there for all others to understand we're going to keep you back there in hell and you're going to be killed or you're going to die in Syria. And that is what is required.
Indeed, most of those known to have traveled to Syria are believed to have died there. They include Farid Mustafa, who was killed in battle, and Shane Crawford has been reported as severely injured, possibly dead. In examining the reasons why Trinidadians join ISIL, much attention has been focused on recruitment from poor communities, but we've been told it's not the full story. We return to the Jamaat al-Muslimin, this time to speak to Fuad Abu Bakr, the son of the leader of the 1990 coup. He has founded his own political party as an alternative to the mainstream. Fuad knows about 15 to 20 people who have left for Syria, most of them from well-to-do families.
Politicians sometimes try to minimalize the issue and say that, it's a small group of people who are, criminally oriented who get involved in these things. And that is not true. People travel and put themselves at risk for ideological reasons.
There's little faith in mainstream news.
When a Muslim sees these videos of decapitating people on the beach and music playing in the background and these gory things, I don't think many of them trust those images. Many people say, well, who verified that footage?
Instead, they turn to personal contacts.
If I have a friend who's already traveled to Syria and they're sending me pictures of, schools with kids and gardens and a society that is operating by Islamic law, that would interest a Muslim individual. I think some people feel as though there is no hope almost in changing the political system that exists here. And I strongly believe that some of these individuals say, maybe we would make more of a difference there.
Carnival is over and the dancers head home. There is no one explanation for why some Trinidadians are joining ISIL, but the group is expert at exploiting local grievances, and here it has found a rich mix of violence, marginalization and disillusion. The government may try to stop fighters from coming back, but issues at home still need to be addressed.